Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to the post-run commentary / explainer for the low percent TAS, or tool-assisted speedrun. So, if you don't want to hear me talking over and pausing and everything, then in the description you can find the normal full run. Now, what is this? What is a low percent TAS? What does that mean? Well, first of all, the category that we're playing is low percent. So this basically means you have a 4 starting health, bombs, and ropes, and that's it. No additional items. So not the craziest category or most involved one, but it's simple. So that's why I'm going to start with this. Now, what is a TAS? As I mentioned earlier, that stands for tool-assisted speedrun usually, and I have this fancy TAS tool that allows me to set checkpoints and view and pick which actions to play on every single frame. So it's basically a tool that allows me to craft a theoretically perfect run on any given seed, although I still am human, so the runs aren't going to actually be perfect, but they're going to be pretty close. So, also by the way, this tool was created by Cosine, so shoutouts to him. Without his work, none of this would be possible. So, you can see this kind of red line that's kind of going down through the level, and that's my player's path basically. So that's the path that Lise is going to take to the exit. This is also funny how this works because just the way the black screen doesn't cover all of the level, it just covers everything that's visible. So as we start the run, immediately we are going to be doing a jump input. And why? What does a jump input do? Well, you actually accelerate faster while in the air. So generally, after just entering a level or back by your door or something, you want to jump if possible, so you can accelerate faster than get to top speed, because that's pretty important. And then, okay, hold on. Do that. Okay. So now we've pressed jump, as you can see, and on this frame we're pressing whip. So, why do we do that? What does whip do? Well, in order to explain that, we're gonna have to talk about weird state interactions in this game. So there are two main interactions that can happen from the jump and the whip. Those are called heavy state and heavier state. Do not confuse those with each other, they are very different. Heavy state is when you press a jump and a whip on the same frame. It has a bunch of its own qualities. I'm not going to bother explaining it here since I don't think we really use it. If we do, then I'll talk about it. But until then, yeah, no heavy state explanation, although you can see it used in Hundun, for example. But heavier state is the one that we care about right now, and that is when you press whip while moving upwards. So, what does heavier state do? It makes you heavier. Yeah, I don't really know what it does, but you fall faster. I don't know if it affects your acceleration or anything. I don't understand how it works. All I know is that it does. So you want to activate that as soon as possible, because there's this platform here that we want to be able to fall through. So we're just kind of moving, and then we're going to drop through the platform as soon as possible. So you may see this and go hey, wait a minute, you're falling through the platform all the way right over here. Okay, what if it was faster to just run right and then drop without needing to do any of the jump heavy state to get the shortest possible jump? And the reason, there actually isn't much of a reason. Last time I tested them, they both frame tied, so they were exactly the same speed. It doesn't matter which one you do, and this is the one I happened to pick. So now we're just gonna move down, and here we want to like cut past this corner with as much speed as possible, basically. I don't think this is like perfect or anything, but it's good enough. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna jump, because what we want to do is hit our head against the ceiling so that we can start falling as much as possible, because we're going to be doing a lot of that, basically falling straight to the bottom of the level and then grabbing a ledge to avoid fall damage. So that's exactly what happens. That's okay, hold on. Oops. But yeah, just kind of doing that. Something that I should explain, though, if I go back here. So, after grabbing the ledge, there's actually like a very specific sequence of inputs that I do here, in order to like get past the ledge with some momentum already built up. And this sequence was also found by Cosine, so thank you. But first we're gonna do just a jump, then a jump and the direction away from the ledge, then a jump with no direction, then a jump with while also pressing towards the ledge, then nothing. And then what this will do is it allows us to like raise this ledge, so that way when we're getting up here we have a little bit more speed past it, which is nice. And then here we do a stupid jump. And stupid jump, if you don't actually know how it works, basically it's a jump on your very last coyote frame. So as we'll see here, I'll explain this right input in a second. You have 4 coyote frames in this game, so like right after walking off the ledge you can still jump for however many coyote frames you have. So right now this is our first one, this is our second one, this is our third one, and then this is our last one. So we're gonna need to jump. Did I miscount? I don't know. You get the idea, though. We need to jump as late as possible in order to clear this ledge, and you can see we kind of just barely get under the block. So this sneaky little right input. What is the purpose of that? Well, something about the stupid jump is that it doesn't work depending on what your alignment is. So even if you get the frame perfect timing, it might still not work. What do I mean by that? Well, take a look at this. So I'm just in free play mode right now, so I can like do, you know, whatever inputs I want. So, hold on, I actually need to. That's not the setting that I... Oh my god. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Auto run. There we go. Now I can like actually do this. And then go here. Switch to free play. Okay. So, watch what happens if I don't do that right input. See how I use my first coyote frame and I'm like still pretty close to the block? This is bad. We don't want this, because this is like not an efficient use of our coyote frame, essentially. So if I go back and look at what actually happens after that input, you can see that on our first coyote frame we are like a decent amount further from the block. And this is important. You need to have like a pretty decent alignment in order to make the stupid jump work. And yeah, so that's what this right input does to manipulate our position a little bit. So there are like some setups that will like always allow you to stupid jump correctly. Grabbing this ledge and jumping up and just holding left here would work, except we did that weird little thing at the start, so it actually doesn't, so we have to make that adjustment. But and for example, of like a bad lineup, if let's say, no, that's not. Let's say we were like up here, and we want to do this jump. No, wait. Hold on. It's like this. Yeah, we wanted to do this jump. Holding like up against this wall and then just moving out and jumping will never work. You have to always be like a little bit offset by some amount that like I haven't really tested, but also knowing the exact amount's not that helpful for human runs, probably. So, yeah, so that's a stupid jump. And then here, when entering the door, what I do is I go take a look at like the player's exact position, and with these kind of last few inputs here, I want to make sure that I'm perfectly centered on the door when I enter it, because otherwise, like if I were to enter the door right now, there's like a pretty slow walk animation where the player walks towards the door and then enters it, which we don't want because it's slow. So what I'm gonna do here is a frame of not holding any direction and then holding right, and then that'll put us within 0.01 units of the center of the door, which is good enough to enter it. This is the number that I'm looking at right here, by the way. So, we enter the door. Perfect. This is what I get for having numpad be my frame advance button. Yeah. Go, that's the door, and then that's the first level. So, now, on to the second one. So, to start off, we're once again going to do a heavier state jump to get the shortest jump possible, although I don't actually think you need heavier state here, but we do want the jump to accelerate faster. It saves 1 frame, 2 frames, not a lot. It's not super consequential, but it is worth doing. And so here we're going to jump on this frame, and the reason we're jumping on this frame is because we want to get, like, we want to be as high as possible when we grab the ladder, basically. So in order to do that, we need to do a full jump, which is 18 frames of jump. And we want it to, like, basically have our Y velocity be 0 around here, which jumping at this point does that. So we have a high jump, we hold up, which will just like snap us to the ladder from like a little bit before. And then you kind of do another jump here to just kind of barely make it past that ledge. Let me rewind that a little bit. Yeah, so here we do our jumps, but we don't activate heavier state on the first frame, we activate it on the second. That's because if we activated it on the first one, then we would lose too much like height, and we would actually hit this corner, which is bad. We want to like barely graze it. So that's like the purpose of delaying the whip a little bit. There could be a way to like, maybe if you don't do a full jump on the ladder, it could like set up your position better to graze a corner or something, but I haven't tried that, and I'm probably not going to. So the spider's not a problem, we can just like move faster than it. So we're just gonna like fall down here and grab this ledge. Just kidding, we're not grabbing the ledge, I forgot. Is it faster to grab the ledge and then do a ledge whip? I actually don't know. I probably should have tried that. If you didn't know, if you like grab a ledge and then press a whip, you like get a speed boost for a little bit off of it. So that might have been faster to do than what I opt to do, which is riding the turkey and then getting off as soon as possible. Which I don't know if this is better, but it's funnier. I'll give it that. And then here, whipping, what does this whip do? No, like what does, wait. Oh, we whip the lizard, okay. Me when I forget why I did things. Yeah, so back whip, hold right for 1 frame while pressing whip to back with the lizard, so we can just move past it without trouble. Jumping onto the ladder. We're not getting like a super high jump onto the ladder because we want to basically get a high jump here, so we have as much height as possible to fall down, and then, spoiler alert, we're gonna land on this turkey again. So yeah, trying to like graze the ceiling basically, so we have as much falling velocity as possible past this corner. And then there's the door. This whip does not do anything. It whips the turkey, which is funny, I guess, but like this, it's not important. And then here, we're just gonna move like a couple frames, holding right and then holding 1 frame of neutral, basically, to get us within the threshold. Ignore that. And then, yeah, that's the second level. Ow. Okay, third level. So, this one's also not very complicated, it's just straight down. So, do the jump whip, fall through the platform like we did on the first level. We do this sequence to hit our head against the ceiling, and start falling quickly, like we did in the first level. Then, we fall down, and then grab the sledge, and then go in the exit, basically. So, some fun interaction that I do here. If you're grabbing a ledge, like directly above the exit like this, and you hold up and walk, and then you press whip to do the ledge whip, you actually get like a really small boost. Like you don't get any speed, basically. But it does actually move you enough to where you're actually perfectly aligned with the exit, so like legally it's useful in speedruns and niche situations, which is pretty funny, because it aligns the door for you so you don't have to like do it or barely miss it. But here, another thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna whip again. What does this whip do? Well, when entering doors, like you're in the air and you want to enter this door right here. Normally, you'd have to wait until the second frame of being on the ground before you can enter the door. But if you're in like the whipping animation, you can actually enter the door on the same frame you hit the ground. So this whip here saves 1 frame. And then we have pullback. Pullback is like, it's always a nightmare to do in these tool-assisted runs, because let's take a moment and talk about like let's get this out of here and talk about like RNG and like how, like what we need to do. So what we want is we want Callback to roll in a place where he stops in like this pile of skulls right here, and we want those skulls to fall in like a specific way that will allow him to dig a path through the terrain here, which will allow us to skip having to go into this back layer, which is a pretty big time save, pretty big deal, so we want that. But it's, you know, we have to get Callback to actually stop rolling here, so we need to have him in a specific spot for the skip to work, basically. But even then, even if he's in the right spot, it's random whether it works or not. It's like a 70% to work, I think, with the proper setup, something like that. Don't quote me, though. So it's not guaranteed, but there is some, like, if we do get, like, a fast callback setup, but then it doesn't get back very skip, there are some things we can do to manipulate RNG, specifically with, like, particles. So anything that will cause changes in particles is going to allow us to mess with RNG, basically. I don't know if, like, the landing smoke particles from the player work. I don't know about those ones, but, like, gold, for example. Gold has this kind of, like, shine particle that it generates, but if you pick up the gold, it can't well, it can't shine anymore because it doesn't exist. So that's something that you can consider to change RNG, choosing which pieces of gold to or to not pick up, or like enemy blood, for example, like whipping the spider versus not whipping the spider can cause changes in how the bone blocks fall. But like individual like movement like differences, like let's say, oh, I press jump on like a slightly different frame or something, like that's a bad example, but like if I'm like right here and falling and I press jump, it doesn't do anything. Or press door, that's a better example. Like I can press door at like any of these positions, and since it doesn't change anything that happens, the RNG is not going to change. So that's not something we can do. But yeah, you'll see how I end up getting this to work. It's basically a lot of trial and error, especially like there are sometimes bad Quillback setups can work, which is not fun to test. it's quite bad. But I got one that I'm pretty happy with. So first, we're gonna actually move left a little bit before doing our jump. That's because we want to kind of jump perfectly onto this platform, which if we just jumped frame 1, that wouldn't work. So we're not exactly accelerating as fast as possible here, but it's worth it, so that way we can get this kind of clean arc. And then here, we're going to jump against the ceiling to start falling down quickly so we can land on this platform, which we are going to immediately jump off of in order to grab this ladder at a decently high point. Like, maybe you can optimize this section and save like a frame or something, but like I do. Whatever. So yeah, we're doing another jump here. Also, fun fact about ladders. Because of, like, remember alignments that I was talking about earlier, if you get a good alignment and grab the ladder really quickly, grabbing it and re-jumping off of it to get your speed back as fast as possible is actually very slightly faster. And by that I mean it usually doesn't even save one frame, but it's technically slightly faster than just running across. If you have a bad alignment though, it's actually very slightly slower. Pretty funny. So, like, you'll see in, like, my chain lubricant Abzu TAS, for example, that in the bottom of the black market level, that I don't grab all of the vines, and that's why, because you have to have a good alignment for it to save time. But here, doing, like, kind of a smaller jump because we want to get past these platforms without landing on them, they're actually, like, there are some, like, corner correction type leniency mechanics with these, so even if you're slightly off, you can still land on them, which we don't want to do, so that's why it looks like, yeah, we weren't even close. That's because we weren't. But here, we are whipping. What does this whip do? Well, one of the weird interactions with whipping is that if you're whipping while walking off of a platform, you just start falling faster. I don't know why. I don't know why this happens. Like, this game doesn't make any sense, but it does. So you'll see in, like, human runs a lot, if you've watched any of my speedruns, I tend to whip off of ledges pretty much whenever possible, and this is why, because it actually does save time. So you can have this, like, deranged gameplay of constantly whipping, and, like, the whip doesn't look like it's doing anything, but it is. Little silly. So here, we start moving right, but then we do a frame of neutral in order to try to get past this corner with as much speed as possible. So that was, like, again, like, position manipulation. Then here, no complicated movement here. And then grabbing this rock. So, wait. Hold on a sec. Hold on 1 second. Okay, wait. Oh, this is what I was looking at. Okay, yeah. Sorry. How'd that happen? Okay. If you press down and whip on the same frame, you can actually pick up an item, like, without crouching, like, without needing to, like, you know... Well, I said it already, crouching. So, you can do that. It's kind of hard to do humanly, but this is a task, so we can just do that to pick up this without slowing down. And then here, we're going to fall through the platform as soon as possible. And then here, we're going to do something a little weird. Normally, if, like, you're on this platform, let's say, like, let me actually go into free play mode so I can show this. But if I just go here, and I just drop, I take fall damage. But something interesting that can happen is if you're on, like, some sort of climbable, like a ladder or rope, chain, vine, etc., which all have the same hitbox, by the way, so they're all the same. At least I think they do. I think so. Anyway, so we're gonna move down a little bit to pick up some velocity. If I go look at this, you can see velocity Y, it's already like some negative 0.1 almost. So we picked up some velocity before dropping from the ladder. Why is this relevant? Well, the thing about fall damage in this game is that it's not actually based off of the distance of how far you fell, but it's based off of the amount of frames that you've been falling for. So, here what we're doing, I mean, along with moving down position-wise a little bit, we're picking up some, like, negative Y velocity from moving down the ladder, that when we start falling, we're already moving downwards. So this means we can, like, reach max velocity. Well, there is actually no, there isn't a max, is there? No, there is, but it's just like okay, sorry. But yeah, basically we're moving down faster and sooner, so that way we're actually falling for less frames. There's a better example of this later that you'll see, so don't worry about this too much right now. But here, I'm gonna throw the rocket pool back, and this is to, like, manipulate his position again. So now he's in this spot over here, which will work because I tested it. So now we just go up the ladder, wait for him to roll, then pullback is going to very kindly take a path for us. So what we're doing here is we're getting to the very top of this ladder, and as you'll see momentarily, we're going to drop. Again, moving down a little bit first to pick up some speed beforehand, which is actually faster for reaching the ground. But so pullback destroys these tiles. He destroys, like, this tile, the, like, frame we would pass through it, which is, like, by design. So cutting it really close, and then that skull. I threw the skull at him, and that's basically to move him out of the way, so we have room to get down through here as fast as possible. And you'll notice I fell a pretty far gap without taking fall damage. And that's because of what I said earlier. Since we were moving downwards already, we didn't have to, like, spend the frames at the start to, like, accelerate downwards at all. So that gives us some extra frames of leeway of how far we can fall, which is why we're able to do this and survive. There's another example of it later as well. So we can just drop through the platform, and then, again, manipulate the position in order to try to clear this ledge with as much speed as possible, though there's a cobweb here. And cobwebs, you don't actually go faster if you just smash jump. The only, or not in this game, in the other two games of the series, yes, you do, but in this one, you just need to be in the air. As long as you're in the air, you're moving at, like, top speed through a cobweb. So we're gonna jump a little bit, but set it up so that way we can be on the ground by the time we leave the cobweb, just, like, a little bit after, because we want to be able to hit our head on the ceiling. Start moving down, and then this is, like, pretty standard movement. Some position manipulation to get it to the door with a good alignment, which this part is like trial and error. It's not very fun. But that's cool back. It's maybe possible that there's like some insane coolback setup that would allow you to save even more time, but like this sucks to TAS. Like I hate TASing coolback. It's so bad. But anyway, Volcana. It's Volcana time, and if you're wondering why I went Volcana over Jungle, like normally for human runs, Volcana's faster on average, which is why we go there. But like a good Volcana and a good Jungle are like pretty much the same speed. But so it's just a matter of like the seed, and on the seed which one is better. And in this one, it's Volcana. Probably. I don't think I've actually checked Jungle, but I'm just trusting that Volcana is better because this Volcana is pretty good. So here again. We're gonna jump as soon as possible, and then we're also gonna whip to activate heavier state and try to manipulate our position, try to get past this corner with as much speed as possible. You can see there we kind of like barely intersected with the platform, but still managed to scrape by. And then here, it's just falling onto this ledge to avoid fall damage, and we do this like a weird movement to get past the ledge from earlier. Whipping, this whip doesn't do anything crazy, it just kills the bat. It's a normal use of the whip, which is not super common in this task. And then here, we do something a little odd. And the predicament is this basically. If I were to get like a perfect alignment on this block, and then jump on the last possible frame and do as low of a jump as possible, I would actually grab this ledge, which is bad because ledge grabs take up a lot of time. So instead, what I'm going to opt to do is I jump a little bit early, and I'm going to place a rope. So the purpose of jumping early is to get lower, because we don't want to be like up against the tile by the time we grab the rope. So, like, we deployed the rope hits the tile above us, so it deploys, it, like, goes out quickly so we can grab it pretty soon. We grab it and jump immediately, and as you can see, we kind of, like, barely, I think we do hit the ceiling, but just enough so that way we can land on the very edge of this block. And this actually is faster than doing, like, the ledge grab on this tile. So, the rope does actually save time, and we're not going to be using it anywhere else, so it's fine to use it here. There is actually something better here, I think. I haven't tested it, but I think there's potentially something better to do in this situation, which I will talk about later because we actually do that very thing later in the run. I just didn't think of applying it here. So we do a little jump off of this conveyor because this conveyor is moving the opposite direction of where we want to go, so we want to spend as little time in it as possible. Well, I mean, if you're just on it for a frame, I think it's not that big of a deal. But here you can see we're not going to grab either of these chains because our alignment isn't good enough for them to save time. And then here, just trying to get a good jump off the platform to cut this corner. I actually don't think you need to really, but... And then here we're gonna whip off of the ledge again to fall faster. We can kind of barely scrape past this corner with good positioning, and then do this like very precise movement involving like walking to lose speed, and things. Like if you walk, you can actually decelerate and start moving in the other direction faster. If you just like walk for a frame. So we do some careful positioning in order to grab this ledge. And remember earlier when I was talking about whipping off of the ledge? Well, that's what we're gonna do. So let me pull this up. So we're gonna whip off of the ledge, and this whip, the back whip is going to like hit the caveman mount. So the mount's gonna like fall down, get hit. The caveman's going to like get I think it gets iframes, but it's going to move up a little bit, which is actually enough for us to go under him, as you'll soon see. And you can see that our X velocity is like 0.23. This is actually higher than like normal. Like normally running velocity is like 0.145, I believe. So we actually get some extra speed here. So importantly, we're not holding right. If we were holding right, then our velocity would get capped at that 0.145 number, so we would actually lose speed. So that's why we're not holding anything for this period of time. And I guess I should mention, since I think I forgot, the plus symbol means that you're running, like if in the like frame editor thing. So the back whip hits the rock dog, and at this point our velocity from the ledge whip has all gone away, and now it's back up to running speed, so we can just start running again. And the caveman just kind of goes up and we can sneak under him, which is it's a pretty fun maneuver. I do like it. I am a big fan. So then just jumping to the door, manipulating our position again to get a perfect door entry. And then that's 2-1. Okay. That's not... I pressed the wrong thing. Okay. Now we're at 2-. No, that's... okay. Yeah, here's 2-2. Let's see. It'll say 2-2 here eventually. But here we're doing the shortest possible jump again, the 1 frame jump and the heavier state immediately, to try to get past this corner as fast as possible, which puts us here. We're gonna wait on this for a little bit because the conveyor is actually moving in the direction we want to move this time, so we're trying to stay on it for an extended period of time before doing another jump that will put us at, like, right here, and then do another jump, another like heavier state activation, really late this time, because if you did it any earlier you'd clip this conveyor, which is bad, because you want to, or no, what was the purpose of doing it so late? I could have, maybe it was the ladybug that was the problem, but anyway, something. And then here we grab the ledge, and then here, remember that like whip off of the ledge thing? Surely you remember, we did it like a minute ago in 2-1, but we're doing it again here. However, if you press jump and whip at the same frame, you can actually get that speed boost while also getting a jump. So this is typically referred to as a whip eject, I believe. So, can you like shut up? Whatever. So yeah, we do that here to get some more speed and height. And then here we just do a big jump in order to raise this corner and while falling as fast as possible past it. Then again, trying to get as much speed past this corner, and then doing a jump to kind of reach the ground as fast as possible. Okay, this is... I do here, like I press up on the chain, which makes me grab it, but I still have... No, I'm selecting the maze right now. What did I do? I don't know what I just did. Okay, go away. Here. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, grab the chain for a frame here, but we still have some negative Y velocity, which in this game is down. Normally in 2D games it's up, I think. But yeah, we grab the chain, but we're still moving down and we don't decelerate fast enough, so we actually move off of the chain before we can like snap onto it and finish grabbing it. So we actually move down here, and this is like typically referred to as like a rope slide, and you can use this to get like an insane amount of down velocity while exiting a rope, which if you remember fall damage being based off of frames, it allows you to survive like a really large distance without taking fall damage, which is, we're not using it here. Here I think it just is marginally faster than just falling down, I guess. I don't know, to be honest. I don't remember. I made this a while ago. But, and then here we're whipping so we can enter the door, same frame we land. And then this level, 2-3. This level has, what did I do? Why did hello? Okay. Anyway. So here we're gonna jump, because jumping to get past this like corner is faster than like walking across a conveyor, very marginally. And then we're also going to do a jump here to get past that corner. And then as we're falling here, you do a short jump to get down to this block as fast as possible. But here, I'm going to whip on this very specific frame. And what we're going to do here is we're going to cross this 3-tile gap without grabbing the ledge. Now, if you're not experienced with the game, you might think, well, what's the big deal? But if you've like played a lot of this game, you probably don't even think that this jump is possible. Like the 3-tile gap with the ceiling above it, like I can guarantee you, like unless you do this exact thing, you're never making this jump. Like it's so specific what you have to do. Which is why this jump, as of right now, as far as I know, has never been done humanly, although you could probably do it if you really tried. It is hard though, because it is like multiple frame perfect things. So you do this whip here, and remember how I was talking about when you like move, when you whip and fall off and like falling from a ledge, like just walking off it, you fall faster. That applies during coyote frames, importantly. So here, doing position manipulation to get a good alignment, like a really good alignment off of the block. And so we're whipping right now, so we're actually falling faster during our coyote frames than normal. And then on the very last frame, we're gonna jump. So we're pretty much as low as possible and getting a 1-frame jump. And then the whip actually expires on this frame, meaning that we can whip again to activate heavier state, and this will give us as low of a jump as possible in order to try to avoid hitting the ceiling for as long as we can. And all of that is like barely enough to make this gap. Like you might not even need heavier state. I think you do. I actually haven't tested it. I haven't like done fully extensive testing on that, but yeah, this jump is makeable, which is evil. It's evilable that you can just do this without ledge grabbing, but it's possible. And this is also something that was bugging me for so long. Like I could not figure out how to do this, because I saw Cosine do it in his tutorial percent TAS, and I couldn't figure it out, but I finally did with this very TAS. I finally figured out how to do it. And remember on 2-1 earlier when I used the rope and I was saying there's something else that I maybe could have done? This is the something else. Using the whip to fall faster during coyote frames so that way you can get a jump from a lower point, and maybe that could have been enough to clear the gap without a ledge grab or a rope, which would be a good time save. But I haven't tested it, and I don't plan on testing it because I don't really care that much. And then here we're also going to pick up this rock. Now this rock is important for next level, that's why we're picking it up. So it does lose us a bit of time here because we can't do like the whipping to precisely manipulate our position to fall past the corners or, you know, enter the door 1 frame earlier, so we have to like wait on the ground for 1 frame before entering the door. So it is a little bit of time loss on this level, but it's a lot of time save on this one. So the predicament is this level is really long. Like normally the path is to kind of like zigzag back and forth. you don't want to do that, that's pretty slow. However, there's a robot here, and there's some parts of this terrain that's 2 tiles thick. I wonder if we could use that somehow. So, here we're just gonna walk right, or left, sorry, I'm good with directions. Because in this case, jumping is not good, because jumping is used when you want to, like, get down here as fast as possible, but we don't. We just want to walk. So we use the conveyors to their fullest, and then do, like, a precise jump to graze past this corner with a really low jump, so that way we can, you know, just get down quicker. Again, grazing that corner. Not moving here so we can graze this corner, while also having enough room to barely jump over the skeleton. So we can grab, actually before we grab the ledge, we're gonna throw this rock. This rock, let's watch the rock for a moment. It's going to hit this block, bounce, and then hit the robot far before we actually get there. So that's what we use the rock for. It's a pretty good time save. And then the movement here is more of the just like moving carefully around the ledge like we've done a couple times before. And now we're just kind of on a timer. We're waiting for the robot to drop. So we're just gonna get as high as possible, wait for the robot to blow up, well, before it's about to blow up, and then we drop. So that way we're falling as fast as possible while moving through here. This whip is not anything fancy, it's just to make sure that I don't grab the ledge on accident. Technically optional, but it just makes TASing a little bit easier. And we're pretty close to the explosion hitbox by the time we're going down. And here, the explosion's only active for 1 frame, so it's already deactivated by this point, so I can just move through it fine. You could probably move through it a little bit faster. Like, there's a little bit of room between me and the explosion, so like, if you move down on the chain a little bit, for instance, as an example, you might be able to like get a slightly better time on this level, maybe. Yeah, looks like maybe you can like save a frame, but that's okay. And then, yeah, grabbing the ledge to avoid fall damage, doing the weird, like, movement to get past the ledge with speed, and then exiting the level. Olmec. So, Olmec is... It's a level, it's a TAS in low percent, because it's a lot of nothing happening, basically. So, here, interesting thing that we do here, the bomb can actually be used to skip the cutscene, the bomb button, and this is important. If we use a jump button to skip the cutscene, then, like, on the first frame of movement, we can't, like, press jump again, because it'll be like, oh, you just press jump to skip the cutscene, so you won't actually jump. So we'd have to wait a frame, we'd have to let go of jump, and then repress it again. So we would jump on frame 3 on this case. But since we use a bomb to skip the cutscene, well, we weren't holding jump before, so we're already, like, we've already done the release step, kind of. So we can jump earlier, a frame earlier. And then normally, you would do a jump, like, a little bit after the torch, because it would get Olmec to stomp slightly faster. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate what this looks like, assuming that I don't mess it up. Here. So, like, if I do a jump here-ish, it would be funny if that was wrong and I have to redo it. No, it was right. So you can see here that Olmec has created, like, this kind of weird gap because he jumped sooner. So there's this, like, little space on both sides. You can't actually stand in both of them. So normally this is what you do, because, you know, like jumping earlier would save time, but we don't actually do that here. And in general, what we do in Olmec is very odd. It's pretty unusual. So we do the jump here, but we don't. This rock doesn't do anything, we're just grabbing it for fun, because TASes get bored on Olmec pretty frequently. There isn't like much to do, so a lot of this is just going to be messing around, but you can see that there's this kind of like larger gap here on the right, which is important. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to deploy a rope. So remember earlier how I was talking about rope slides and how, you know, you build up a bunch of momentum, then do a rope slide. It resets the falling timer because you did grab the rope for one frame. And if... I guess I'll get to that later. But yeah, you can fall a pretty big distance without taking fall damage. Normally, yeah, you take fall damage here, but we launch the rope, and the reason we don't like do the Olmec thing I was showing earlier is because we actually need the extra space on this side in order to grab the rope. Which is pretty important. So here, let me go to this frame. We're kind of jumping on this frame as Olmec is moving up above us, because we want to try to jump. We want to climb this rope as fast as possible, so that way when Olmec destroys the tiles, we can fall past it quickly. So here we're gonna do a little bit of TAS climbing. Now, if you've seen like any of my TASes that involve this, like in Duat or involve like Flat's Castle, you'll know that climbing can get pretty insane. Here it's like well, I say relatively simple, but TASing is like TASing. Climbing is one of the hardest things to optimize in a TAS. It's just so complicated. There's so many things you need to consider, and it's basically a crap ton of trial and error if you want to get it to like perfection. So I don't bother doing that. I just get one that's like good enough. So here we're grabbing the rope, and here we're gonna whip. What does this whip do? This game is so dumb. But basically, when you're jumping up a rope, apart from like the first jump, like the jump from the floor, if you're on a rope and you're jumping, you actually can't re-grab the rope until you're in the falling state. So you jump and then you stop jumping. You actually have to wait until you're falling before you can grab the rope. However, if you're instead in the whipping state, you can just grab the rope. Like, you can just grab the rope even if you're not falling. You can grab it as you're moving up. So the whip is important here. We're gonna do an arbitrary number of jump frames. I don't think I trial and errored this too hard, so it's possible that there's like a better way to do this. But do that. Press up briefly to grab the rope, and then re-jump off of it again. Yeah, here we don't actually need to do anything too crazy, because, you know, Olmec's going to destroy the tile soon, so we kind of need to go down now. But Olmec destroys the tiles. We do a 1 frame up input. If we do any more than 1 frame, we might lose too much velocity or get stuck on the rope, which we don't want to happen. So at 1 frame of up input, we can slide off the rope and then not take fall damage through this gap. And this is marginally faster than any other like Olmec method found. At least maybe there's a better one that hasn't been discovered yet. But yeah, this is something funny that I discovered on this TAS. I think this was a very like last level I optimized. But like I had a spare rope and I was thinking of ways I could use it, and like, what if we did this? This would be pretty funny. It is pretty funny, I do like it. And the rest of Olmec is like not very exciting. It's just moving the block and then jumping the block, jumping past it as fast as possible while, you know, throwing in a left input to try to graze the corner of the block. Carry as much speed past it as possible. I don't know if it actually helped. I don't remember. That's all mech. So now, we're on to tide pool. So, this tide pool level I don't think is that crazy. We're just gonna do shortest possible jump to get past this corner. A little bit of position manipulation to get past this corner. Then jumping in the water as soon as we can. And then doing the whip to kill that guy. I don't know why I just didn't whip earlier, then use a front whip to kill him. I don't know why I turned around to do a back whip instead. I don't know if that actually matters. Maybe I lost a frame there. I don't know. I don't know what. Oh. No, I actually did it this way because I wanted heavier state. Okay. No, that's why I did this. That makes sense. But yeah, I wanted heavier state so I can raise this corner. I come very close to hitting it, as you can see. Or as you saw. Maybe you didn't. In which case you'll have to rewind, or not, if you don't care. So here, right, I jump to get down to this ledge as fast as possible, but then here I actually opt to whip instead of jumping, and that's because I'm so close to the ledge that just whipping and running off of it is actually faster than jumping up to hit my head against the ceiling and then start moving down. So we do that, then I whip again, because platforms are like kind of weird. In most situations, if you want to like fall through one, you'll have to crouch for one frame first and then drop with the jump input. But if you're in the whipping state, you can just kind of ignore that and drop through them immediately. So that's what we're gonna do. Then we're gonna raise this corner and then exit the level. So here, what is this level? Oh, okay, I remember. Here we're gonna jump, immediately, in order to get that acceleration boost. Then, because our alignment is good, it actually is slightly faster to grab this pole and jump immediately. So here we do, like, have your state to land on this. None of this movement is, like, too precise. It's just kind of like, don't get stuck in the water and don't stop moving, pretty much, by the time you get to this platform. Then here we're gonna do a pretty late jump into the block, because we do need to, like, clear this guy. Because, you know, if we land on him, then we'll jump off of him, which is bad. It's time loss. You don't want that to happen, which is why we gonna delay the jump here. More movement passes. Again, whipping so we can fall through the platform instantly. This whip so we can fall through the platform instantly, but also to kill this guy. Whipping again so we can fall through the platform instantly. And then here, we're gonna do something, a little, I mean, it's not that crazy, like, you've kind of seen it before. But as we're falling past this ledge, we're gonna drop a rope. And then as soon as the rope is grabbable, which is here, when the rope finishes, like, moving to the second tile, we grab it and jump off of it. This is just faster than, like, falling down to this tile and then jumping up to the ledge, or, like, from the pole. I think if you grab the pole, you can't actually make it here. You'd have to grab the ledge, I think. But even then, like, the rope is probably still faster than the pole, even if you can make this jump, just because you don't have to spend as much time moving left and just kind of waiting. There is some wait time, obviously, but yeah, another rope usage here. We have 4 of them. Might as well use them creatively. Although you might notice that we haven't used any of our bombs. Don't worry about that. We're gonna need those for something. We'll use them. Here, just movement across water. Killing this guy, again, probably better to do with a front whip, maybe, because we don't, like, our jump height isn't super precise here, since we have a little bit of time before we need to jump off of this. We get a full max height jump. Actually, that might not be a full jump, I don't know, but jump there just enough to not die to the spikes. The spikes are much more lenient in this game than they are in, like, Spelunky HD, for example, so that's why we can get away with something like that. And then here, it's just kind of falling through this subroom, grabbing this ledge to avoid fall damage, which is safe. You can do this. You can't in Spelunky HG. In that game, it'll kill you. But in this game, you can just grab ledges above spikes. They let you do that. We do a little whip ejection there to get some extra speed as well as a jump. And then you can just kind of move through this level. Grabbing this pole, I think it looked like we had a pretty good alignment there, but also we want the extra jump height. Well, jump from a higher point rather, so that way we can make it to this ledge. I whipped to kill that guy because that guy would interfere with this jump if I didn't do something about it. Again, just kind of barely avoiding the spikes here. And then here, we're going to do a fun little maneuver. We need to hit this tile and jump as soon as possible. And then once we're high enough, we can start moving over him. And this is typically referred to as a surf. We're just kind of jumping on him and moving forwards every single frame because we're like sandwiched between this guy and the ceiling. So with the decently precise jump and jump height, we can do that. And then that allows us to reach the exit without needing to like damage tank or anything, or like use a bomb up here. And then this level is a dark level. I do have some like quality of life cheats that lights up the dark levels so we can see it easier. But here, we're not going to jump immediately because that would put us in a kind of awkward position that we don't want to be in. So we want to wait and then jump to graze this corner. And then here, we are going to use our final rope. So the predicament is that I want to just go down, but if I were to just go from here to the platform, I would take fall damage. I would need to grab a ledge in order to avoid that. But grabbing ledges is like, it's kind of slow. You need to spend, you like lose all of your speed doing it, so you have to like re-accelerate downwards after grabbing a ledge, which is just not great. So instead, I'm just going to do a rope slide. A rope slide to, you know, reset the fall timer, so that way I can just go down just fine. And then it's just kind of more movement past here. Yeah, nothing that crazy going on. Pretty much all things that we've seen before. And then Ice Caves. Ice Caves is a pretty funny TAS level because you can usually just fall through the entire level. Okay, so remember earlier how I was talking about heavier and heavy state? Turns out we actually do use heavy state in this TAS, and we're using it right here. So, heavier state, I just now realized the explanation of heavier state that I gave earlier was not fully accurate. Heavier state, like, it does make you fall faster, but only for the duration of the whip, and also if you press jump, then you, like, or if you repress jump during heavier state, I think it also breaks it, but yeah, it only lasts for the duration of a whip. Heavy state's a little bit different. It doesn't, like, make you fall faster, but it also lasts, like, until you hit the ground or whip again, basically. So, we jump and whip on the same frame to activate just regular heavy state this time. And what this will do is this allows us to get a really low bounce off of the enemy. So, exactly what heavy state does is, like, you know, as you saw, when you get that bounce off the enemy, you get a really low jump. But also some weird things can happen, like if you were to hold jump for a little bit. Let me actually demonstrate this. Give me a second. Just go back here. Switch to free play mode. So if I were to hold jump, like that's what I'm doing right now, you can see that I get like the normal bounce, right? But if I let go, my bounce is just cut really short. Like normally, you know, this doesn't happen. This is not normal. It's a very weird, like, bounce angle. And that's something that you can do with, like, TASes. Like, you might watch, like, a Cosmic TAS or something, and, like, activate heavy state. and then I get some like super weird bounce angle that like looks really unnatural, and that's what it is. Using like TASes are really good at using heavy state to do very precise bounces to get what they want to happen. And we don't make use of it here because we just want the lowest bounce possible. So we don't bother with any of that. But yeah, like heavy state is another pretty good tool to have. So we just get a low bounce off of the Yeti. If you whipped here, actually here, I think a whip would, like, to try to activate heavier state, I think that would just break it. Break heavy state, I mean. So like, do this. Yeah, so like heavy state broke, so now we're actually higher than before. Because we're not getting the low heavy state bounce. So that's why that doesn't work. And then after that, we're just gonna fall down. We're gonna fall down. We're gonna fall down. This UFO dodge is like really precise because we want to get between the UFO and the ledge. Like, this is insanely precise, but if it's possible, we can do it. And then you might also notice that we're not grabbing a landmine here. In normal runs, that's something that you might see, but that's because none of the landmines are like super convenient to grab. Like, the best one is probably this one right here, but it's still a pretty big time investment, and there's just like, the Neo Babylon doesn't need a landmine. Like, it's good enough where a landmine doesn't really help. So here is Neo Babylon. We're just gonna grab the torch. I don't actually think it matters that much that we grab the torch. I think this is more just kind of like a for fun thing because I can. Because the predicament is that this is a fun sparkle dodge, by the way. But the predicament is that this elevator kind of cycle locks us. So, until then I can just do whatever messing around I want. And then we're gonna try to sneak under the elevator as soon as possible. Also getting a jump to hit against it so we can start moving down more quickly. And then we're gonna just grab this ledge down here. This torch, we actually throw the torch just before grabbing the ledge. And it does hit the UFO. I don't think this saves time over like whipping it, or maybe if you whip it you actually get caught in this explosion. I don't know, but the torch was more of like a for fun thing because I can. And then just more kind of precise movement around here to get into that door. Right here on this level, we're gonna wait a little bit so that way we're in a better position to graze past this corner. And then just kind of moving down, grabbing this ledge because we do need to avoid fall damage. We don't bother whipping off the ledge because dropping off of it normally allows us to, like, well, with a little bit of position manipulation, allows us to just graze past the corner anyway, so we don't need the extra speed. And then just kind of more movement. You need to grab this ledge so that way we don't take fall damage later. And then just kind of some more platforming here. This part looks a little cool. If I go back to like 6-2 like here. I don't have. So we kind of like grab the tree, then we do a very like shortest possible jump. And you can see we kind of get like snapped up to the top here. That's kind of like the corner correction-ish kind of stuff that I was talking about earlier with platforms. So we kind of snap up there, then we can jump pretty soon after. So it looks like we're going up very fast. And here just kind of barely want to get on this ledge as soon as possible so we can jump and get past that ledge. And in this case, we don't even need to slow down, which is great. Normally when jumping from here to up here, you would need to like slow down a little bit to avoid hitting this corner, but in this case we had a good alignment, which allowed us to avoid that. I think it's alignment based. I don't know, that's just what I'm gonna assume. It might not be, I guess, but here, we have room to do the immediate acceleration with the jump, so we're going to do that. And then grazing past both of these corners. Here we pick up the skull and throw it at the caveman because why not? This caveman is kind of annoying if we don't do something about him, so that's just what I choose to do. We don't have like really much space to like get a jump off of this corner or like even from back here to get momentum past this. You might actually be able to do it from back here. Maybe you can actually. Although I think we're cycle locked anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, more movement, and then we just kind of have to wait for this elevator a little bit. Timing works out pretty conveniently, so that way we can, like, barely squeeze past it. Then again, whipping to fall faster. Then more kind of movement through here. Delaying doing a pretty late jump off of this ceiling to barely get over the spark ball. And then doing that again here for fun. And then Tiamat. So, how are we gonna kill Tiamat quickly? The answer, we're just gonna throw a bunch of bombs at her. That's it. This is usually referred to as like quad cook by like human runners. So like normally what you do, let me switch to free play. I actually need to give myself ropes because normally you use ropes for this. So like normally like what this would look like is you like place a rope somewhere, you grab a bomb, and then you do that, and the idea is that all 4 of the bombs hit her. I messed it up there, so that isn't what happened, but that's the idea, right? That you just, you know, throw bombs at her. But you actually don't need the rope. It's really hard to do humanly. People have done it. I don't know if they've done it in like they don't use it for like real runs because it's too hard. At least for now they don't use it. But you know, you don't need to use a rope, so we're not going to. Is the idea. So here we're gonna actually wait in the cutscene for a little bit. This is to wait for bubbles to spawn in good position so we can jump across them to make our lives a little bit easier. And then again, we're doing like the bomb input to skip the cutscene so we can jump immediately. So we're going to jump and we're going to throw the bomb. Throwing the bomb frame 1 isn't super important, we just need it to like land in a good position, which in this case it like barely hits the platform, so it's going to be a longer path to grab later. We jump on the bubble, pick up the bomb, and this like actually getting the bombs to hit her took a lot of trial and error. A lot of like messing around with different timings. Not super fun, but like it's hard to get this to work even for TAS, so like for human runs, maybe a bit much. But one like quirk with items is that items that you throw like out of your hands, they do inherit like your velocity, like your current velocity, but bombs that you throw like from your inventory, they actually don't. Like they're like a set angle, set velocity every single time, which is part of what makes this a little weird. Also, small note, if you try to do a bomb input to throw the bomb from your inventory first, you'll get stuck in the attack animation where you can't actually throw the bomb that's in your hands. So you have to throw the one that's in your hands first, which is important. Because when you're in the attacking animation, you can still throw bombs from your inventory, which is what allows this to happen. So here, I do nothing for a frame on this one because I need to like wait a little bit, or I need to lose enough speed so that way when this bomb inherits my velocity, it's not going too far to the left. So that's important there. I ignore the rope pile that I just spawned in. So then we do that, and then we keep moving. So we have to turn around for 1 frame in order to throw the bomb in the correct direction. But you'll notice that in these bomb throws, we're still moving to the left, but the bombs are still going to the right. And this is because we're locked in the attack animation right now, facing to the right, so we can't actually face to the left. So any bombs we throw are going to go to the right anyway, even like regardless of where we're holding. We use that here to like save a little bit of time, and then we land on the bubble and exit the door. And as you can see, this kind of bomb like barely hits her, and that sets off these two bombs, which explode shortly afterwards, and then that ignites this bomb, which explodes, and as you can see, very barely hits her. Like, this is really close to not working. I think it is easier if you spawn on the left side and are quad cooking the other way. I think that actually is easier to do row plus. And it's also easier if you don't have to worry about, like, you know, here I'm trying to slow down as little as possible, so makes things a little bit more precise. But yeah, you can see here the first bomb barely hits, the second bomb barely hits, or the fourth bomb barely hits. The second and third are fine, but yeah, very, very precise. A lot of trial and error with how the bombs like interacted with each other. And then we exit Tiamat, and then that's it. That's the run. Oops, I messed with the camera in the cutscene. Here's the cutscene, by the way, if you wanted to see it. I don't think this doesn't really matter, but yeah, that is the explainer for the low percent tool-assisted speedrun. This is like a 2-minute task, and it took like an hour to explain everything. Like, well over an hour. Oh god. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it interesting. Probably learned a few things during this. But yeah, so if you want to see more tool-assisted runs explained, then definitely let me know, because I am interested in doing that in the future. Although, like, judging by the time of this one, the other ones are going to take so long to get through. So I'll have to, like, figure something out. Either either just have to explain everything all over again, or just be like, hey, just watch the low percent one first, please, so like I don't have to explain this again. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll figure that out later. But if there's any particular thing that you want to see me commentate, TASes or normal runs too, if you want those, if you want less insane movement, then do be sure to let me know. I guess for fun, we can play back the entire TAS at full speed. Just because, like, why not? Yeah, I'll leave the camera zoomed out a little bit because I don't feel like zooming back in. But, do this. Never mind, it didn't work. But yeah. The movement does look pretty... Some of the movement looks pretty crazy at full speed. Especially this like pullback portion looks really cool. I think it is lagging a little bit actually, because the like little red path tends to lag the game a little bit, at least with my computer, because it's not the best hardware in the world. So I think it might be a little bit slower than actual full speed, but that's okay. Yeah, here's Olmec. Here's nothing happening for like 15 seconds. Eventually, like, it would be funny to get a seed that has like a power pack in the crust or something that Olmec stomps on and explodes to save a couple stomps. That would be pretty cool if that gets found, with the rest of the levels also being fast. Yeah, it's very satisfying. I guess something I neglected to mention earlier is that if you're in the cutscene, the timer doesn't actually increment, which is why we can wait in the cutscene without losing time. But yeah, that's it. I think I said everything. I mean, you can like the video, comment, subscribe, or dislike the video. You can do that too, I guess, if you really feel so inclined to. But yeah, that's it. I think. Did I go over everything? I think so. We're gonna save everything, and then if I forgot, well, I didn't forget. I mentioned everything. I talked about every single thing in